好，各位朋友晚安。中秋节晚间哦，依然按照我们的催眠时段哦。大家如果吃月饼、烤肉累了，刚好可以催眠一下哦，来做《The Catcher in the Rye》的朗读训练。那我们之前回忆一下，我因为朗读的段落到165页就停了，但是我解签的时候多解了一页，大概一页左右，一页多一点。所以我就重新朗读个4到5页，哦，这样作为一个中秋节晚间一个比较休闲的，哦，不要搞太累，因为我今天记得中午那个时候已经做了一个第5纵队的小国防小单元，应该蛮充实的。哦，我们今天晚上中秋节晚间就轻松一点，我就用朗读的，看看能不能朗读个4到5页，哦，这样就差不多。下一个单元再来做节签。好，我们就从 He said the play itself 开始。我瑞一下喉就开始。好，把它放大一点。He said the play itself was no masterpiece, but that alliance, of course, were absolute angels. Angels, for Christ's sake. Angels? That killed me. Then he and old Sally started talking about a lot of people they both knew. It was the phoniest conversation you ever heard in your life. They both kept thinking of places as fast as they could. Then they'd think of somebody that lived there and mention their name. I was all set to puke when it was time to go sit down again. I really was. And then, when the next act was over, they continued their goddamn boring conversation. They kept thinking of more places and more names of people that lived there. The worst part was, the jerk had one of those very phony Ivy League voices, one of those very tired, snobby voices. It sounded just like a girl. He didn't hesitate to horn in on my date. The bastard. I even thought for a minute that he was going to get in the goddamn cab with us when the show was over, because he walked about 2 blocks with us. But he had to meet a bunch of phonies for cocktails, he said. I could see them all sitting around in some bar with their goddamn checker vests, criticizing shows and books and women in those tired, snobby voices. They kill me, those guys. I sort of hated old Sally by the time we got in the cab, after listening to that phony Andover bastard for about 10 hours. I was all set to take her home and all, I really was. But she said, I have a marvelous idea. She was always having a marvelous idea. Listen, she said, what time do you have to be home for dinner? I mean, are you in a terrible hurry or anything? Do you have to be home any special time? Me, no. No special time. I said, truer words was never spoken, boy. Why? Let's go ice skating at Radio City. That's the kind of ideas she always had. Ice skating at Radio City? You mean right now? Just for an hour also. Don't you want to? If you don't want to. I didn't say I didn't want to. I said, sure, if you want to. Do you mean it? Don't just say it if you don't mean it. I mean, I don't give a damn one way or the other. Not much she didn't. You can rent those darling little skating skirts, oh, Sally said. Janet Coates did it last week. That's why she was so hot to go. She wanted to see herself in one of those little skirts that just come down over their butts and all. So we went. And after they gave us our skates, they gave Sally this little blue butt twitcher of a dress to wear. She really did look damn good in it, though, I have to admit it. And don't think she didn't know it. She kept walking ahead of me, so that I see how cute her little ass looked. It It looked pretty cute too. I have to admit it. The funny part was, though, we were the worst skaters on the whole goddamn rink. I mean, the worst. And there were some Lulus, too. Oh, Sally's ankles kept bending until they were practically on the ice. They not only looked stupid as hell, but they probably hurt like hell, too. I know mine did. Mine were killing me. We must have looked gorgeous. And what made it worse, there were at least a couple of hundred rubbernecks that didn't have anything better to do than stand around and watch everybody falling all over themselves. Do you want to get a table inside and have a drink or something? I said to her finally. That's the most marvelous idea you've had all day, she said. She was killing herself. It was brutal. I really felt sorry for her. We took off our goddamn skates and went inside this bar where you can get drinks and watch the skaters in just your stocking feet. As soon as we sat down, old Sally took off her gloves, and I gave her a cigarette. She wasn't looking too happy. The waiter came up, and I ordered a Coke for her. She didn't drink, and a scotch and soda for myself. But the son of a bitch wouldn't bring me one, so I had a Coke too. Then I sort of started lighting matches. I do that quite a lot when I'm in a certain mood. I sort of let them burn down till I can't hold them anymore. Then I drop them in the ashtray. It's a nervous habit. Then all of a sudden, out of a clear blue sky, old Sally said, "Look, I have to know. Are you or aren't you coming over to help me trim the tree Christmas Eve?" I have to know. She was still being snotty on account of her ankles when she was skating. I wrote you I would. You've asked me that about 20 times, sure I am. I mean, I have to know, she said. She started looking all around the goddamn room. All of a sudden, I quit lighting matches and sort of leaned nearer to her over the table. I had quite a few topics on my mind. "Hey, Sally," I said. "What?" she said. She was looking at some girl on the other side of the room. "Did you ever get fed up?" I said. "I mean, did you ever get scared that everything was going to go lousy unless you did something? I mean, do you like school and all that stuff? It's a terrific bore. I mean, do you hate it? I know it's a terrific bore, but do you hate it? Is what I mean. Well, I don't exactly hate it. You always have to. Well, I hate it. Boy, do I hate it," I said. "But it isn't just that. It's everything. I hate living in New York and all. Taxicabs and Madison Avenue buses with the drivers and all always yelling at you to get out at the rear door. And being introduced to phony guys they call the lawns angels. Going up and down in elevators when you just went to go outside. And guys filling your pants all the time at Brooks. And people always, 'Don't shout, please,' old Sally said, which was very funny because I wasn't even shouting. 'Take cars,' I said. I said it in this very quiet voice. 'Take most people. They're crazy about cars. They worry if they get a little scratch on them. And they're always talking about how many miles they get on a gallon. And if they get a brand new car already, they start thinking about trading it in for one that's even newer. I don't even like old cars. I mean, they don't even interest me. I'd rather have a goddamn horse. The horse is at least human. Rather have a goddamn horse. The horse is at least human, for God's sake. The horse you can at least. I don't know what you're even talking about, old Sally said. You jumped from one. You know something, I said. You're probably the only reason I'm in New York right now, or anywhere. If you weren't around, I'd probably be someplace way the hell off. In the woods or some goddamn place. You're the only reason I'm around, practically. You're sweet, she said, but you could tell she wanted me to change the damn subject. You ought to go to a boys' school sometime. Try it sometime, I said. It's full of phonies. And all you do is study so that you can learn enough to be smart enough to be able to buy a goddamn Cadillac someday. And you have to keep making believe you give a damn if the football team loses. And all you do is talk about girls and liquor and sex all day. And everybody sticks together in these dirty little goddamn cliques. The guys that are on the basketball team stick together. The Catholics stick together. The goddamn intellectuals stick together. The guys that play bridge stick together. Even the guys that belong to the goddamn Book of the Month club stick together. If you try to have a little intelligent, now listen, O'Sally said, lots of boys get more out of school than that. I agree they do, some of them, but that's all I get out of it. See? That's my point. That's exactly my goddamn point. I said I don't get hardly anything out of anything. I'm in bad shape. I'm in lousy shape. You certainly are. Then all of a sudden I got this idea. Look, I said, here's my idea. How would you like to get the hell out of here? Here's my idea. I know this guy down in Greenwich Village that we can borrow this car for a couple of weeks. He used to go to the same school I did, and he still owes me $10. What we could do was tomorrow morning we could drive up to Massachusetts and Vermont, and all around there. See, it's beautiful as hell up there. It really is. I was getting excited as hell. The more I thought about it, and I sort of reached over and took old Sally's goddamn hand. What a goddamn fool I was. No kidding, I said. I have about $180 in the bank. I can take it out when it opens in the morning. And then I could go down and get this guy's car. No kidding. We'll stay in these cabin camps and stuff like that till the dough runs out. Then, when the dough runs out, I could get a job somewhere and we could live somewhere with a brook and all. And later on, we could get married or something. I could chop all our own wood in the wintertime and all. Honest to God, we could have a terrific time. What do you say? Come on, what do you say? Will you do it with me, please? You can't just do something like that, O'Sally said. She sounded sore as hell. 好，内容蛮好玩的，我刚刚看了一下，这个内容，我们不得不佩服 Holden 的想象力，实在想象力太丰富了。170页，我花了13分钟，我看看念了几页，1页、2页、3页、4页、5页、6页，好，6页还不错，念了6页，13分钟。那当然中间有很多字，可能还需要在后面我们解签的时候再来考证一下，看这样念对不对。尤其是我念过第2次的那个格林威治村，它好像是念 Greenwich， 它不是念 Greenwich， 它 Greenwich 这样子。好，那我们今天就中秋节晚间加开的催眠版的 The Catcher in the Rye 的朗读就到这边结束。好，感谢同学，祝大家中秋节愉快，晚安。